Welcome to the video. I'm going to be showing you what mould is, why it's a problem, what causes it, and how it destroys shower sealant, and more importantly, how to get rid of it. I normally work in a research lab, but during this lockdown I want to try to use my skills to solve a few household problems. So here we go. In the last video I used household vinegar to clean the shower, although it didn't get rid of the mould in the sealant and it didn't get rid of any of the discoloration in the grout between the tiles. What is mould and why is it a problem? Mould is a type of living organism known as a fungi. It's not a bacteria, it's not a plant, it's got its own classification to itself. Mould is a type of fungi that grows in the form of a microcellular filament. Mould individually is invisible, however what we see is a colony of mould altogether, which is actually known as an organism now. So here the mould kind of branches outwards through these microfilaments, and that's how it spreads on the surface. And it's also actually how nutrients kind of are transported from the outside of the mould inwards. Mould needs moisture. If you've ever gone into a room and noticed that damp smell, that's mould. And that's also going to be causing you respiratory problems because of it. In particular, if you have any black fuzzy mould on the walls, that's a problem, because that mould is releasing mould spores into the room as well, which is what you're breathing in, which is going to cause problems. What causes mould? The tiles and grout are both inert materials. The mould isn't getting any nutrients from them. Mould gets its nutrients from its surroundings. Therefore in the shower, that's coming from us. It's coming from the water, it's coming from everything we wash off of us, it's going into the water. If you've got any debris, any oils, everything goes into the water, and that's where the mould is getting its nutrients from. Especially in the areas where the water sits and it's not drained away properly, where there's inadequate ventilation. No wonder we got mould here. It's a constantly damp environment. Mould needs water, and what we've got here in the sealant is it's constantly wet. You know, it's not drying out. We've got very poor ventilation, especially when the door is closed all the time. Some simple solutions to prevent the mould in the first place. Keep the shower door open, turn on the extractor fan, open a window, turn on a dehumidifier. Sealant is an excellent material. It creates a watertight seal while still being flexible, so when we stand in the shower or the bath, it has that flex to it while keeping the seal to prevent water from going behind. Sealant is resistant against water and any of the chemicals we use to clean it. You know, it should last a good 10 to 15 years, so why is it failing? Mould is destroying the sealant. I recommend using a dehumidifier instead of heating to remove mould. Mould needs water, mould needs moisture in the room to survive. So cheap solution, open the window. You get a good ventilation in the room, that's going to prevent any condensation. However, this isn't really that practical in the winter because it gets cold. Keeping the window closed keeps the house warmer, but there's nowhere for the moisture to go. A warmer solution is to run the dehumidifier at night. Specifically because at night is when it gets cold outside. This is when you have the difference in the temperature between the inside and the outside. This is when you get the condensation. So I'd recommend a hallway and as far away from the bedrooms as possible as well, because the noise might keep you awake. Using a dehumidifier is a cheaper way to remove water from the room than heating. Mainly because when you set the level on the dehumidifier, you can control the amount of humidity you want. Once it reaches that, the compressor inside turns off. The fan still remains running so it can test the air, but once it's reached that level, this runs continuously without any extra power. Dehumidifiers also heat up the room. Evaporation is a cooling process, whilst condensation is a warming one. You see, when we're hot and we sweat, water kind of evaporates off the skin and it's cooling. If you've ever put water on you and then gone outside, you can feel it's getting cold. This is because as the water is evaporating off, it's taking heat away from it. The reverse of this is condensation. As water goes from water vapour into a liquid water on the surface, it transfers heat. This though, done with the dehumidifier, inside it's essentially taken the water vapour from the air, putting it back into a liquid. This is giving off heat. So a lot of the electrical energy used to run the condenser in the dehumidifier, we're actually gaining a lot of that back as heat. So not only are we removing the moisture from the room, which is directly affecting the mould, it's also warming the room up at the same time. Okay, so I'm going to be using the HD mould spray on that side and the bleach on that side. Let's do this. Eye protection, hand protection. Do not get this in your eyes, do not get this on your skin. They are very nasty chemicals. Close up of the grout. Now the bleach, I'm just going to put along the bottom. I hope this doesn't stain the grout blue. Trying to get the bleach to stay on the tiles there. So I've given it about 30 minutes now, and I've rinsed it down with water, and to be honest, it's not that bad. The HT mould spray has pretty much got rid of all the main bits of mould. The bleach, on the other hand, still leaves the bits of mould left in the silicone, so it's not really killed them that well. You can see here the silicone is detaching a bit. That's probably where the water's getting in. The grout looks amazing. It's lovely and white. The bleach, again, it's not really. There's still some discoloration in the grout. Yeah, the bleach hasn't got rid of this. I'm going to use the mould spray on this section now. There we go. Most of it's pretty much gone now, except for like that small amount of mould deep in the silicone there. Other than that, well, it's mostly worked. So what's happened is, just like the root of a weed, the mould is deep within the silicone, and the silicone now is actually protecting it, and protecting it from especially the chemicals and the bleach which I've used to try and get rid of it. So the solution for this, replace the silicone. Oh well. The bleach is water soluble, and it makes sense that the sealant is inherently going to be slightly hydrophobic, because you don't want it soaking up water, you want the water running off. So the bleach isn't getting into the sealant because of its hydrophobicity. We could start looking into possibly adding some surfactants to the bleach. Perhaps some simple washing up liquid might help to kind of wet the surface a bit more. I don't want to use any oil-based toxic chemicals, so I'm not going to go down that route with essentially any hydrophobic liquids, because at the end of the day, everything's going down the drain. The only solution next is to replace the silicone, but other than that, the sour's looking pretty clean. Anyways, hope this has been enjoyable. It's been fun. See you next time.